This week in sports, the NFL divisional round did not disappoint. In the NFC, the Saints and Buccaneers faced off in New Orleans. Just prior to kickoff, it was reported that following this season, Drew Brees would be retiring. However, it was not the ending Drew Brees had in mind. Brees completed 19 of his 34 passes for just 134 yards, 1 touchdown, and 3 picks. Ultimately, it was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, led by none other than Tom Brady, that move on to the NFC Championship game. In Brady's first season in the NFC, he appears in his first ever NFC Championship game, but it's his 14th conference finals appearance. Meanwhile, in Green Bay, Aaron Rodgers and the Packers had their way with the Los Angeles Rams. A masterpiece of a game, plus Rodgers chucking the ball for 296 yards through the air and 2 scores, marched the Packers to a 32-18 victory over the Rams. That means it'll be Brady versus Rodgers in a conference title game. What a time to be alive. In the AFC, after taking down the Pittsburgh Steelers in the wildcard round, the red-hot Cleveland Browns set their sights on Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. Despite getting their head coach back from COVID protocol, Baker Mayfield having a decent outing, and Patrick Mahomes going out late in the game with a horrible injury, the Browns came up short, losing to the Chiefs 22-17. The story of the game, however, is that Patrick Mahomes is currently in concussion protocol and is questionable to start in the AFC Conference Championship. If Mahomes is able to clear concussion protocol, he will become the first quarterback in NFL history to start in 3 conference championship games in his first 4 seasons in the league. Who will the Chiefs be facing in the AFC title game? None other than the Buffalo Bills, who beat the Baltimore Ravens 17-3. The Ravens' offense was just non-existent in this game. Lamar Jackson had no touchdown passes or runs and threw a horrible pick in the end zone. Ravens kicker Justin Tucker, the poster boy of consistency, missed 2 field goals. The Bills have a real chance to come out of the AFC and settle some unfinished business in the Super Bowl, a place they've been before but never won. Elsewhere in sports, the New York Mets fired general manager Jared Porter after hiring him in mid-December. It came out that Porter had harassed a female reporter when he was still a member of the Chicago Cubs. Hall of Fame pitcher Don Sutton died. Sutton was a 4-time All-Star with a career ERA of 3.26. His 324 wins rank 14th in the major league. Deshaun Watson has continued to make it no secret that he wants out of Houston, bringing more and more past and present players to his cause. And Kyrie Irving returned to the Brooklyn Nets. When asked about his absence, Irving stated, "I'm back, and I'm happy to be back. And we got some great pieces, and we just move on, and I let my actions and my game speak for itself like I plan on doing. I just needed a pause. Had a lot of family and personal stuff going on. Just wanted to leave it at that." This is the Under 500 podcast.
All right, everybody. Welcome back into the Under 500 podcast. I am Tyler. I am joined by my 2 friends, Eric. How you doing, man?
I'm doing okay.
Okay. Just okay? Not great,
Just
not
okay.
fantastic?
I'm
No,
doing
not
okay.
great.
I guess we're
I'm
all
doing okay.
I guess we're all in that boat this week, huh?
I'm a little crotchety. Go ahead, Aaron, and then I'll tell you why.
Yeah, Aaron, how you doing
Crotchety
today,
is-
man?
Crotchety is a great word. I'm doing good. Just we're waiting for the birth of our second child,
Oh yeah.
which should be happening in a couple of days. So that's gonna be a lot.
That's
Looking forward-
exciting.
Good
Yeah,
luck
looking
with
forward
that.
to that, and having a newborn all over again. So
Great. So
yeah,
much
a
fun.
lot of stuff to look forward to.
Yeah, I guess that's fun.
But what about you, Tyler? How's things going with you?
I'm
No one
doing
ever
great.
asks you. You
Yeah.
introduce us, and we never ask you.
No, you guys usually ask me. I'm doing really well. My wife and I got our first dog this past weekend.
That's so exciting.
She is
so big too.
Yeah, she is a Great Pyrenees and an Anatolian Shepherd mix. She
God bless you.
is only 3 months old and already like 35 pounds.
Oh my goodness.
And her
Gonna be a
name
bear.
is Dublin. Middle name
It's a great
Fenway.
name.
Middle name Fenway.
That's cool.
I thought that was a cute little addition to
Dublin
her name.
Fenway Prince.
Mm-hmm.
Adorbs.
So we're excited to have a new little fur baby.
So you got a puppy. Aaron is about to have another child, and I have a rant to go on. And
Let's go.
so it was Martin Luther King Day Junior Day this past weekend, and I had the day off, which was nice. So I went home and saw my family, and after that we went to Cabela's. First time I ever got to go with Ben to Cabela's. It was super exciting. As
Oh.
I told you off air, Aaron, I got to do the 84 on the 91 little
Mhm.
excursion in Hartford, which is horrible. If you know anything about driving through Hartford, just don't drive through Hartford. It's really the trick to it.
Avoid it at all
Avoid it at
costs.
all costs. Exactly right. So that was my Monday. Usually Mondays I watch Ben and then he goes down for a snap and I build, the script for the podcast, the basic stuff that I want to build, and kind of leave everything up to you guys after that. But I generally do the basic format. So I didn't get a chance and that was fine. I get a lunch break. So I figured I would get a lunch break today, and I would do it during that hour time period, rather than watch the Star Wars Clone Wars I've been watching, which, by the way, I'm almost done with. And Execute Order 66 just happened, and it's been really good.
Oh
Anyways,
man, that season's phenomenal.
it's so
Oh,
good.
so good.
It's so good. So I got an email. I applied for a promotion at work, and I got an email back from the recruiter that said that there was something wrong with your resume. It got distorted in the email, or when you applied. Could you please use this website to make another one and then send it in? Which I'm appreciative of the fact that they were interested enough in me that they didn't just say, this guy's applying, forget it. They wanted me to actually resend my resume. So that's cool. So I had to go to resume.com. And this is where I got angry. So fine, whatever. I'll use my lunch break to do that. And then I'll just come home and build this out and then we'll do the podcast. Well, first of all, I get in there and it's you have to pick the way you want to make it. It's not really like an official my company website. It's just the website they wanted me to use to build it because I think it sends the best email or it converts the PDF the best way. I don't really know, but it's resumes.com. And I had to create an account, but I hadn't yet. I hadn't created an account. I was going to do that in a minute. So I'm on my lunch break. I'm using my hotspot on my work phone to create this resume, and I got like halfway through the frustration of having to put all your work experience and what you did at each
When
job
you
and
have
how
when
long
you
you were
have the
there,
attachment.
Remembering dates.
and remembering. And fortunately I had my old resume, so I was using that,
Oh,
and
nice.
it was
Why
pretty
do you
easy to
need to
input
fill it
everything.
in?
It had me, so I'm
It
already
makes me so
triggered by
mad.
having to do all this and organize it and format it and check for typos, which I'm sure I missed some anyways because that's just who I am. And so I walk away to do this job for a customer, and I come back and it said, "Oops, the link expired."
Oh my gosh.
All gone. Everything I had saved, an hour worth of work, gone. So I created an account, log back in, get halfway through it again. It did it again. I had to do it like 3 times, and I had to keep saving my work because the link, even though I had an account at this point, it kept expiring. Your website, and this isn't to my job, this is to the website that the resume.com. It sucks. You need to take it down. It sucks. Take it down. Okay. All right. So I ended up having to do that after work and then come home and do this. And so I feel just way behind on everything because of that.
So
So frustrating.
I'm really glad that you have a safe space to vent. That
Yeah.
might honestly be your best rant yet.
Because-
And it has nothing to do with sports, and I think that that's comedy. Thank you for that.
I'm
Anybody
with
out
you on
there,
that.
if you're listening to this, I hope we get sued for this one day. Don't ever use resume.com is what we're telling you.
Yeah. Don't use that. Just use
Sue
Google
us.
or Microsoft or whatever and do it
Dude.
that way.
That is so true. I hate especially Eric, you and I have talked about this. When you're filling out job applications and you have your resume created,
And it
it's
says
already there.
upload the resume.
And so it says upload a resume. You're like, great, I have it here. I'll upload it. And then the next freaking page on the application is, so we're gonna have you fill in and type out everything that's already on the resume that you uploaded.
It's so
We're gonna
frustrating.
and it's just like, but I just uploaded my resume. Yeah, yeah. Now give us your past 4 job experiences. It's like it's on the resume. Like, why do I need? Oh, so I never understood that logic.
I've actually,
It's so triggering.
I don't know what this says about me, but I've never built a resume before. I've never had to. I've never applied for a job.
Really?
I've never applied. I've applied for jobs, but I've never applied for a job that required me to
Tyler's
have a
unemployed,
resume.
everyone.
The applications that I've always filled out have just had that stuff on there. Like, what's your past
Really?
work experience? And I write it down in references, and they take it. Like, I've never. Oh wait, no, that's not true. I applied for a factory here in the town I live in. It's like the factory that keeps the town running, and it's like the only thing that keeps this small town afloat. And I had to build a. That's true. I completely forgot about that. I have had to do it, but I just did it on.
You have to have a resume at this point.
But I made it in Microsoft Word on my laptop that I had, or it was my wife's laptop that was on its way out, and I just built a resume on Microsoft Word.
That's
Yeah.
that's where I constructed mine. I just made my own template and stuff like that.
That seems to
I don't
be
know
easy.
how we got onto this.
Yeah, okay. Anyway, so
no one cares
resumes.
about
we could talk about this forever because in our world that we live in now, applying to a job. I remember just real quick, and then we'll move on. My mom helped me, or was going to help me apply for a job when we were moving to Texas, and she like tried to do one and was like, "Wow, it's really involved to try and apply for a job today. I never remember it being this complicated." And I'm like, "Yeah, it's
yeah,
a
it's a
lot."
whole nother ball game now.
Yeah. So speaking of resumes, were you going to say something, Eric?
Yeah, I just Mike Doobie got back to me.
Oh yeah,
and,
yeah. Go ahead.
He about the whole he sent us last week, and we were talking about the day that the Mets pay somebody. He said, "Hi Eric, I really enjoy the podcast. Every July 1st, it's Bobby Bonilla Day.
Mm-hmm.
In 2000, the Mets agreed to buy out the remaining 5.9 million on Bonilla's contract. However, instead of paying Bonilla the 5.9 million at the time, the Mets agreed to make annual payments of nearly 1.2 million for 25 years starting July 1st, 2011, including a negotiated 8% interest. At the time, Mets ownership was involved with the Bernie Madoff account that promised double-digit returns over the course of the deal, and the Mets were poised to make a significant profit if the Madoff account delivered, which, if you know anything about financial history, that account did not go well. And really, the Mets are left holding the bag, and Bonilla walks away with a bunch of money.
No kidding. That's
8%
how that
interest,
happened.
though. That's really good.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that's why that went down.
Yeah. I didn't
It's
know
actually
that either. That
good
is really
bit of
cool.
trivia. I like
Great
when
bit
I
of
know.
trivia.
Oh, I forgot about trivia. I'll trivia next week.
That's okay. I needed a rant. Let's get into the NBA. Let's start here, guys. You guys wanted to start NBA, which I wasn't exactly sure about, but the two of you at least are all geeked up for this. So, what we got going on in the good old NB of A?
Well, as most of you guys know by now, unless you live under a rock or just aren't attached to the internet at all, Harden is on the Nets, and he's played now in his first two games in the Nets organization, and they have gone very, very well.
Mm-hmm.
I was interested to see how he would fit. And granted, they're not fully there yet, right? They're still waiting on a big player to come back, but their first game drops a triple double, a 30-point triple double. Yeah, he also did almost have a quadruple double though. He had 9 turnovers, which that is kind of a part of Harden's game, unfortunately. Is he'll get you points and assists, but he will turn the ball over too.
Yeah.
But still, he had in the first game, new team, new setting. To drop a triple double is a good sign, and then he had a great second game. So far through his first 2 games, he's averaging, look at this, 33 points, 13 assists, and 9 rebounds a game through those first 2 games there. And then meanwhile, right, no big deal, during that stretch, KD is also averaging 36 points per game over those 2 games while playing side by side, and they've been playing equal minutes too, which is honestly, like, to have 2 guys averaging over 30 points a game.
Well, it's 2 guys averaging half the points of the average score in an NBA game.
Right. And
that really is crazy.
That's nuts. And the craziest part of this is Kyrie hasn't even made it on the floor with them yet, which we'll get into the Kyrie stuff a little bit. So you're missing your third big piece, who is also a great scorer, volume shooter, but also a good facilitator. He hasn't even hit the floor yet, and so I'm curious to see how that works. My first question to you, I'm actually going to pull an audible on this one because this is something that I've been thinking about. And Tyler, I know you're more geeked up on NBA stuff now, so I know you're excited. So I'll get to you second, but I want to see Eric's take on this first. is seeing how Harden has played now in these first 2 games. He's handling a lot of the ball with the assists and distributing while also scoring. Um, who do you think between KD and Harden, right? They're both pretty much 1A players, but you can't have that on the same team. Who is it that you think this year is going to emerge as that 1A on the Nets? Who do you think out of these two guys in
Huh.
their games?
So, good question. Um, I don't know. I don't follow it as closely as you two, and I admit that. I have followed it, but not nearly as close as probably the two of you. 'Cause you two are invested in
Yeah.
NBA fantasy, and
I just wanted to hear your
I couldn't get into the NBA fantasy. I do football fantasy. I probably should get into NBA fantasy just for the fun of it, but I couldn't convince myself to do it. Um, I don't know. I guess it comes down to personality and talent, right? Like if I had to pick one of the two as far as talent wise, and I know that James Harden can pretty much shoot as needed, and he has that offensive skill. But
Mhm.
would it be fair to say that KD has more athleticism and is a more of a mismatch as an opponent to defenses because he's got speed and height? So,
That's a
I
very, very fair point, Eric.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
so
impressed.
so if it's personality, I would say that James Harden's personality would be more dominant in
Mm.
that he's I don't know. I don't
I'll
know
give
who
that he's a bigger personality.
I hear a lot more about James Harden over the years crying and having hissy
Right.
fits than I do
And that's
KD.
true.
So if that's the case and KD's willing to give it up to a guy that can shoot on demand and just play the guy that, as needed can just be undefensible, then James Harden. But if you're just going off of like pure all around bounce basketball talent, wouldn't it be KD?
I like that. I will answer that question. But Tyler, you go.
Can you just
Who do you
remind
think?
remind me of the question because you threw an
So
audible?
yeah. So KD and James Harden in their own respects are 1A players. Like they're the guy
Yeah,
on their team. But now they're on the same team and you can't by default you can't have two 1As.
right.
So out of those two, who do you think is going to or should emerge as that 1A, like the guy on this team?
KD, Kevin Durant. I really do
Why's that?
because um like Eric said, yeah, you have a personality in James Harden as somebody who's probably a good leader on the court, given the opportunity that he has players who will follow him. And I think that he has players in this team that will follow him. But the pure talent, scorer, play caller, uh, point guard. Well, he's not really a point guard, but is he? No, he's not.
Who?
Kevin Durant.
Harden? No, Kevin Durant's not.
No, he's not. But I think basically the director of the court, if you want, because I'm big into film, and it's the person that puts all the pieces together and makes it look good and makes it successful. I think Kevin Durant is going to be the better director of that team personally. So
Mm.
I think he'll come out as the top dog on that team this year. Um, yeah.
Yeah, so for me, I think there's gonna be how do I put this? I think I know who wants to be the top dog, and it's that's gonna be Harden
Mm-hmm.
because he's got a big ego and he wants to be. I think he's going to assert himself to be in his mind that top dog.
Okay.
And honestly, I think he can still do well in doing that. I mean, obviously he's a phenomenal player, but who it should be and who I think everyone in the league and even on that team is going to acknowledge, even if James Harden won't, and even if he dominates the ball, is it's got to be Kevin Durant. He is just Eric. You brought up the good point in that he is the ultimate mismatch on the offensive side of the ball. You have a guy who's 6'11", almost 7 feet, who's got elite handles and can shoot from anywhere on the court.
Yeah.
He's taller than anyone. No one can guard him. He shoots way more accurately than Harden. Way better
He's
field goal
fast too,
percentage.
right?
He's quick. He can get by guys. He's got the height. He's almost a 7-footer. He's an assassin in this league. Like when you need the big shots, and he's done that in his career in the postseason.
Yeah.
That's a big knock on Harden is once he gets to the playoffs, all of a sudden now he's not the same player. I love when Shaq talked about that just last week, how Harden was saying, "Oh, I gave my all," and Shaq's like, "No, you didn't."
Yeah.
He's like,
That
"Let's
was
look at these postseason stats. You've sucked and you've
did
let your team down. You did not give your all."
Shaq laid
And
into him.
so
That was good.
he did. He laid into it big time. So I think in Harden's mind, he's the guy. He's gonna play like he's the guy, but everyone knows that it's really KD. And Kyrie, to his credit, Kyrie, honestly, I think he's okay with just being a guy out there. Is like, hey, I'll get my buckets, but I don't need to be the dude right now. He's kind of more of that. I hate the term, but the beta personality, as far as those two go. And I think he's just going to be content with just doing his own thing, playing free.
Yeah.
He's been doing that well
Somewhere.
with KD, anyways. I know.
Somewhere
I
out
know.
there in Indiana, there's a listener who's going to be very happy that you, of all people,
I
Mr.
know.
Cable, used
And
that
then
phrase.
yell like Jimmy Butler's an alpha. He's the alpha of alphas. But also this brings me to actually I heard this on another podcast, which I thought was a really cool question. But is this big three that we're seeing now? Because these are three massive names in the NBA, like three of some of the biggest names that we've ever seen. Is this the best and most star-studded big three that we have ever seen assembled in the NBA? Now, some history. The first big three we could really look at is the Celtics in 2008. They had Paul Pierce, they had Kevin Garnett, they had Ray Allen in 2008. That was like kind of the first team that kind of started this. And then obviously the Heat really ramped it up when they had Wade, LeBron, and Chris Bosh, and they went on their run. And then we saw the Golden State, KD, Steph, Clay. We've seen other teams kind of form super teams as well. But what do you guys think about this line? Because this one feels a little different because you have three who like top 10 players, all like big names, all of a sudden coming together. So do we think this is like the most star-studded and like the biggest one that we've seen up to this point? Tyler, you shook your head.
So the way I was thinking about it is this the best big three ever?
Oh, I should say, okay. Well,
So it would be
you can take it that route, but
you
also like names wise.
well, if you talk about the best big three ever, you got to either go career, or amount of seasons they played together, or is it just a one season thing? Because like you only had KD, Steph, and Clay for 2 years.
Correct.
So
3.
was it 3?
3. So they won 2 championships.
Oh yeah, you're right.
And then the third one is when KD blew his Achilles out.
Yep.
And they lost to the Raptors.
So 3. So you have, but then you have, like a big three you could mention, which would be like 14 seasons of Tim Duncan, Ginobili, and Tony Parker.
I don't know if because Ginobili was never like a big household.
I mean, in their
even Parker was like an all-star, but never big.
What are you defining as big three then? Is it
so if you're saying just like
in household names?
Yeah, like
yes,
okay,
like I'm talking like household names.
So yeah, I think that this big three that we have in Brooklyn right now it has the most potential of any big three that we've ever seen before. Because I mean, you talk about like Chris Bosh, Dwayne Wade, and LeBron James on the Heat. Dwayne Wade and LeBron James had already had okay careers.
They were top 5 players.
And then Chris Bosh was just elevated by that. So I think of people that everybody already knows are really, really good players and have had established careers. I think that this team or this big three has the most potential of any big three that the NBA has ever seen before. I really do. I think this could be something incredibly explosive if they can make it work. But my mind always reverts back to that 2K clip that somebody made with
Dribble,
Kyrie,
dribble,
Kevin
dribble,
Durant,
dribble, dribble,
and
dribble, dribble,
James
dribble,
Harden.
dribble.
Yeah, just dribble, 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 pass, keep dribbling, and then give it to Kevin
Shoot with
Durant
2
to
seconds on the
shoot a
shot
three in the
clock.
corner. Yeah. I we're seeing that that's not happening with just two of those guys. They're working really well together, and they're scoring insanely well. So we'll see what it's like when Kyrie gets on the court. But yeah, I think this could be the biggest big three ever assembled.
There you go. Yeah. Eric, I mean, I know you don't know basketball that well, so you don't need to chime in.
I was just
If you
as
don't
the
want
two of you
to.
were talking about, I'm thinking as a very, very fair weather basketball guy, what big threes like kind of ring a bell as like, like that's the one I think about when I think big three. Obviously as a Celtics guy, that's the one that pops into my head as a frame
Right.
of reference, but I don't know if that's the best one. I don't know that Golden State one was pretty good.
Oh baby,
Yeah, well, yeah.
I don't know. Like, and I know, Aaron, you're not a big championships define it all, but they won 2 championships with that big three. That's kind of big.
no, that's
And
a good
honestly,
point.
they would have gotten a third if KD didn't blow his Achilles and Clay blew so he blew his Achilles out
I do
and Clay
remember
Thompson
that.
blew his ACL
So,
out in that same
so
series.
yeah. So if they
Finals.
had not, if the big three didn't just become Curry, do you think they could have gone 3 in a row? And if they had gone 3 in a row, will we
They
be
would have
having
won.
this conversation?
They would have won. No,
There you go.
Yeah,
no, they definitely would have won.
you know what kind of blows
In
my
my
mind
book.
a little bit though
Yeah. So what's that?
is I was just looking at this because that 73-9 season that the Warriors had was like the cool.
Yeah.
I watched them almost that whole season because I really liked
That was without
Steph
KD
Curry.
too.
Yeah, and I was just about to say
KD wasn't even
that
on that
was
one.
without Kevin Durant. I mean, that's insane
No.
that they did that.
Wasn't it like the following year, like 2 years later, that Kevin Durant went there and they're like, "Well, he's a ring chaser."
It was the next season.
That's what I
Yeah, it was
thought.
the one right
Yeah.
after it. Yeah, because
Yep.
he went
And then
out
they
in
won 2 rings.
2016-17.
Because Curry had already gotten a ring before that. He already won. And then KD came, and then they won 2 more. They went to like 5 straight finals. It was
Yeah.
something insane. I think KD was there for 3 of them.
How many years in a row did we see Cavs versus Warriors? I thought that it was 3 years in a
it was
row.
three
And
straight.
I loved every second of every one
Oh,
of
they were
those.
great.
Oh,
Yeah,
it was so
great
good to
see
watch.
to see those series.
And the Cavs
Yeah,
coming
I don't.
back. Oh, it was so good.
For me in the big three, I think as far as names go and star power, this is the most star studded that we've seen come
Mhm.
together. Because even with like the big three in Miami, Wade and LeBron were top 5 players at that time. So, but Chris Bosh, he was good. Like he was an all-star player, but he wasn't at that. He didn't carry the same amount of weight. Now, granted, what they did in their run was also phenomenal.
Mhm.
They went to 4 straight finals and won 2 as well. So they played extremely well and they dominated the East during that time. So they were really good. And then when you look at the Warriors, obviously what they did in just 3 years, they went to 3 straight finals, won 2. That's phenomenal. I don't think it had the same star power just because of Clay. Again, Clay's a great player, but I don't think his name holds the weight of a Kyrie or a KD or a Harden, even though he is a phenomenal player. So name-wise, I have to say this is the biggest collection.
Yeah.
But obviously we have to see the next couple of years because what the Warriors and the Heat did. I mean, they got multiple championships and multiple finals appearances. So the Boston one didn't really work out. They got 1 ring out of it, and then that was it. Then they didn't really do too much with it after that. But anyways, we can move on because guess what? Kyrie Irving is now back.
Mhm.
He is back on the team. We're told that he resumed practice Tuesday, and he's expected to play against the Cavs on Wednesday night after having missed the past 7 games since I believe it was January 5th. When they interviewed him when he came back, he said that he had a lot of family and personal stuff going on. And so I just want to leave it at that. So he just said there's family stuff going on. He didn't want to release any more information on that. But he also said that when things become overwhelming in life, also referencing the storming on the Capitol Hill and just the unrest in our country, he says, you've just got to take a step back and realize what's important. So I'm assuming that had to do with something within his family was going on, and he had to be there for that. And I saw today a cool post on Kyrie that I thought was really telling and was kind of awesome. It's a few of Kyrie's contributions over the last year. He's donated $323,000 to Feeding America. He's partnered with City Harvest to ensure that 250,000 meals were distributed to New Yorkers. He partnered with Nike to donate 17 pallets of food and masks to the Standing Rock Sioux tribe. He committed $1.5 million of his own money
Mm.
to help pay WNBA players who opted out of the 2020 season because of COVID. He paid off the college tuition of 9 historically black college university students from Lincoln University, and he purchased a house for the family of George Floyd, which, as you know, of this past summer was the man who was killed by the officer when he was being detained. So I saw that today. And I was like, holy crap, he's done all of that um, in these in this past year. Like, he's actively involved in the community and caring for people and giving back. And so when he sees these, it kind of gives context for what he's seen recently in the country. Kind of really does affect him,
Mm.
because I think he really does care. And so I know we've been railing on Kyrie, and I've been really negative. And I don't think how I think he has a good heart, and we talked about this earlier today. I think he has a good heart, but he just doesn't go about it in the best way all the time. But does knowing this about him, and that he had personal matters with going on with his family, something was going on there, does that change how we feel about him? Like, is the narrative a little different for you now, with what's going on with Kyrie? What do you guys think of that?
Oh, you want me to go?
Yeah, good.
So I'm not gonna be the bad guy that says, "Yeah, whoop-de-doo, he gives all this money, who cares?" But I will say this: that's a great little meme that you just shared, and I'm not discrediting it, and I'm not saying that he hasn't done things that are above and beyond buying the house for George Floyd. That's really, really cool. Um, but as far as like he's a celebrity, and celebrities have foundations. Almost every celebrity has a
Right.
foundation, especially a big
That's
name,
true.
and they donate money. So, that, and I do think it's cool that he did that. The WNBA thing is also really cool, and the paying off, college. That I always think it's cool whether you like a person or not. The current president of the United States has done stuff like that as well, and past presidents have done that. And they're very polarizing people. Just that office is
Right.
very polarizing, but it doesn't mean that those people necessarily have done bad things in their personal life as far as the charitable giving goes. So I think that's cool. There's two ways I think about Kyrie after you've told me this stuff. Is one, it just adds to, if this was a character in like a TV show that we were all really big on, he'd still be the villain, but he'd have a cool story arc. Like, and I'm not saying that to mean like he's a bad guy, right? Like,
That
but he's
makes
still the
sense.
villain. He's
No,
a
I
love to
get what
hate
you're
guy.
saying. I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Like, you know, Kylo Ren ended up being a good guy at the end, but he still killed all those kids at the Jedi at the Jedi
Yeah.
The
Temple.
temple.
Luke temple when Luke Skywalker was rebuilding the Jedi Order, and maybe one of them is
Grogu.
the
Grogu.
child Grogu. So
Ugh,
like,
don't make
like
me think about that.
like he's got maybe one. He's got a really cool arc. Kyrie Irving does. The
He
other way I
does.
think about it, and you guys aren't going to be able to relate to this, I think only select family members, and they're going to love that I'm even going to mention this guy. Is in NASCAR, there's a guy named Kyle Busch. Man, he's one of the most talented guys out there. And he does a lot of good stuff in his personal life, but he's a hothead. He shoots his mouth off, and people love to hate him. And I really think that's where Kyrie is. Both those ways I described. Cool story arc, good guy, probably got his heart in the right place.
Right.
He's a hothead. He shoots his mouth off, and he's a guy that people love to hate, but know that he's good. When he's on, he's good. So,
Hmm.
again, I think he's a talented guy. I think he's done a lot of great things, but he's still a guy that people love to hate. And I think even to a degree, he kind of embraces that. I don't know if anybody that says F Thanksgiving doesn't embrace that. You know what I'm
That's
saying?
true.
Like someone that just openly wants to mock reporters by talking about the flat Earth, is kind of embracing that. So like
Right.
those are things he's doing to embrace that kind of, this is who I am, and I'm gonna rub you the wrong way, which is okay because Bill Belichick does the same thing, and people hate him, and people love to hate him, and people love to love him. So that's okay. Like you can have that in a sports context, and it be just a cool dynamic to kind of have in your league.
I
Nice.
respect that.
Yeah.
Very well
No,
thought out.
that was good. Can I just rewind for about a minute and a half there? You said Kyle Busch was a talented guy, one of the most talented guys out there.
Yeah. Yes.
So he's talented at going really fast and sometimes
Oh,
turning
don't
left.
do this. No. Don't do this. No. Don't do this.
Oh, I
Don't
love
do
it.
this.
Stir in the
So I've already been
pot.
on one rant.
Stir in the pot.
Do not trigger me on this one.
Just going to go
No,
real fast, and
I'll stand with
sometimes I'm going to
Eric
turn to the
on
left.
that. The stuff that that body has to go through is pretty nuts.
Football
So,
field is second.
so
This ain't no
I'll
this ain't no
I side
driving
with Eric.
home from Chicago imagine driving home from Chicago at a football field. Okay, I'm not doing this. No, we're staying on basketball. We are our listeners are literally turning off the podcast right
All
now.
right,
Keep
so
going.
I'll respond here with the Kyrie stuff. So, yeah, I'd seen that post when you shared it with us earlier, and I actually saw earlier before that I saw his press conference stuff, and when he said when things become overwhelming in life, you just need to take a step back and realize what's important. And he said he had a lot of family stuff and personal stuff going on, so I just want to leave it at that. And what I took from that was this is a person who's probably experiencing some sort of turmoil in his family life. And nobody likes that. Nobody likes when things go wrong in your family. And so when I saw that, I was like, man, this guy put family above his multi-million-dollar contract to play basketball. I think that's really cool. I think that says a lot about his character. And the thing with about the donating, that's awesome. That's really, really cool. I love that he bought a house for George Floyd's family. You know, whatever you think about that whole situation, that family has still suffered loss. That family is still hurting and in the media and being berated by reporters probably constantly. And it's probably just really, really nice for them to be able to have a nice home that they don't have to worry about paying rent in. It's paid off. They can get jobs, whatever. They might not even have to get jobs. He might financially support them until they're dead.
Right.
Which is amazing. And that says so much about Kyrie's character. And I'll just say what I said earlier. Kyrie has a ton of character. He is a good dude at heart. He wants to help people that don't have it as well as he does. But he's still a dingus, and he still says really stupid stuff.
Yeah, fair.
That's my opinion on him. This makes me like him more.
Right. No,
this makes me
I'm
like him a lot
you.
more.
Right. No, and that's what I took away is I think he's genuinely a person who he has a good heart and does want to benefit society. He wants to help people. I just don't think he knows how to go about it the best way. Like say with him just leaving the team.
Yeah.
Right? He just didn't say anything. He didn't contact like Nash, didn't let him know. He just ghosted and just didn't contact anyone. Whereas I think it's like, hey, if you have family problems, at least it'd be like, hey man, like go to the coach, go to someone. They'd be like, listen, like there's some stuff going on with my family. I need to step away for a bit, or hey, there's all this unrest going on. It's bothering me. I feel like I need to do something. I guarantee you, the organization, if you let them know that, is gonna stand by you, right? And they're gonna be like, hey, okay, we get it. You need to take some time away. That's fine. I think that's how we should have done it, is at least be upfront and let them know, not just ghost and leave and then leave everyone in anticipation of what's happening. So that's again, heart in the right place, really poor method of execution
Right.
in how
Just
he
as a
did it.
clarification to that, I did remember from the Steve Nash press conferences that he had been at one point in contact or had texted him. I don't know where it sits on the timeline. I don't know how much of it. We don't know for sure. Is what I'm trying to point out, that he didn't do that, and then as their cover for him, they just didn't say anything. It basically said it's none of your business, or
That's true. They
whatever they
could
were
have
doing. And then the
doing
media, being the media, extrapolated. Well, I heard. Well, that him and KD have been distant. Well, he wasn't that happy, and all that stuff I brought up. Like
right.
that was being
Right.
reported in this absence, but him being absent and him being the player that he is and the personality that he is can foster that, even if he did it totally legit behind closed doors and they left it at it's nobody's business and we're not going to tell anybody about that conversation.
That's true. They could have. I just remember when they talked to Nash initially, the first game he left, Nash was like, "Yeah, I've got nothing from him. I tried texting him. I
That
don't
could
know
be
where
true
he
too.
is."
He could have been somewhere in the middle where he bounced and then he came back and said something and then they
Right.
continued.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Because I know initially, like, Nash was like, I have no clue where he is. He like found out half an hour before the game started. He was like, "What?" So like that's where it's like, you don't do it that way. And I mean, he does say just stupid stuff that's
Yeah.
incendiary sometimes. And I get it's because of where his convictions lie with things. So it's like, dude, like you can do it with a little more tact. You're kind of in a place where the public sees you and they're going to make
Yeah.
determinations about
You're
you.
right.
So, just the last thing, I'll just go through this real quick about COVID because COVID's kind of just destroying the NBA right now.
Mm-hmm.
Just a couple quotes that I thought were really cool about that. But so far, 15 games have been postponed just since January 10th, I believe. Several teams have been limited to 8-man rosters that they have to play with, which is, I mean, you're not going to win a game with only 8 men playing. And the
Right.
Sixers, even in one game, only had 7. So they had to play a game with us, and they actually
Two
played
subs, dude. I
a
like that.
pretty close game. Like they did really well for themselves. But this has been becoming common with teams playing with like 8 guys, and so since then the NBA has tightened up a lot of the regulations. And I saw this quote. It said that one of the many changes includes a mandate where players and staff have to quarantine at home or in their hotel rooms when not at practice or the game itself until further notice. On the road, players can't leave the team hotel, nor can guests come over. The league has also asked players to stop the post game extended handshakes, hugs, and conversations. And George Hill, he's a player on the Oklahoma City Thunder. I love his quote because he when asked about the regulations, he said this: "I'm a grown man. So I'm going to do what I want to do. If I want to go see my family, I'm going to go see my family. They can't tell me I have to stay in the room 24/7. If it's that serious, then maybe we shouldn't be playing. It's life. No one's going to be able to just cancel their whole life for this game. I just don't understand some of the rules as far as we can sweat 48 minutes with the guy next to us and the team next to us, but we can't talk to him after the game," which is a very good point. I think
That's
we're not allowed
resonant
to
of the
handshake.
jersey swap in the NFL. Oh, so
Do
we're
we
allowed to
really-
tackle each other for 60 minutes, but we can't give each other our
Right,
jerseys.
exactly. And
Do
it's
we
like, what
really
is
want to
that
get
doing?
into the COVID-19 stupidity as it pertains to national pastime sports? Because I'll give you one more. Players don't have to wear their mask on the field running around in
Thank
football
you.
out of breath,
Makes
but the
no
referees do.
sense.
What?
It's
Like
lunacy.
I
It's
don't want to get
lunacy.
into this too far
Right.
because
We
I
don't
do
want to
think
get shut down.
I do think COVID's legit and I do think people
Oh, it
need to
is.
take the necessary precautions, but I do think that as far as the public eye goes on these leagues, some of this is just the horse and pony show to show that they're trying to be serious about it. On the same hand, as far as NBA
Yeah,
players go, I think the baseball players pretty much prove that you're not catching COVID on the field or
No.
on the court. You're catching COVID because you you can't behave yourself. I'll put it kindly after the games, and this is not just a dig on basketball players. This is a dig on sports athletes that have no accountability for their actions and think they
yeah,
are somehow above the rules and therefore can do all these things and think they can get away with them. If you would
yep,
like to get paid millions of dollars, which is the contract you're under by the team and by the league, you need to follow the rules. If you don't want to
exactly.
follow the rules, I just had this conversation with my mother a lot too about her job. If the rules and the standards by the league that you have agreed to are these are the implementations we are putting in for your workplace, you follow them or you don't get paid. And again, that's not a dig on, well, they're $1 million. No, no, no. I don't care if you're making $8 an hour or $80 million. If you are employed under contract by a employer and they say these are the rules we need you to follow if you would like to continue to be in our employment, you follow the rules or you don't get paid. I don't know, like, what else do you say?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. I don't know. I agree. That's why I wrote. I was like, is there actually a solution to this to slow down, or is this just something we ride out? Like,
There is. You put them back in a bubble. Do they want that?
no, but they're not going to do that. Like,
Not
Exactly.
for
there's
a
no
whole
way they're
season.
going to do that.
No,
No,
they can't. They can't.
and not
They
with
can't be in a
all
bubble for a
30
whole season.
teams. They can't do that. So I think, yeah, you just got to ride it out, man. Like that's what it is at this point. Yeah, we're gonna see more games postponed. We're gonna see more people get infected with it. Um, more people breaking rules. Like
But it's the same standard for everybody. So, like,
right.
the 76ers played with 7 players. It's conceivable that the Celtics or the Brooklyn Nets or the Lakers could end up in the same boat. It's the same standard for
Yeah.
everybody. You want to know how you beat those odds? You behave yourself and you follow the rules the best you can. And does that guarantee that you're not going to go through that? No, it doesn't.
Then you
But it
just play with
certainly
8 guys.
increases your chances. Yeah, it's like, let's just play with fire and let's just play with gas and matches and hope it doesn't catch fire.
Right.
Like, come on.
Yeah. No. And yeah, that's what I have for the NBA because we got to talk NFL because obviously we had some big
Yeah.
games last week and we got some big games coming up this weekend, which we are
Before we
excited
get into the playoffs, I would like to clarify something because we talked about this real quick about Deshaun Watson, and that's that, I said it, and I think you guys agreed that I'm not a fan of players saying things like, I wasn't involved in the GM decision, so I'm out.
Right.
Like, it doesn't translate well in that league. I'm out on that. However, I was listening to Sports Radio this week, and Burt Brewer, I believe, is the one I was listening to, reported that the reason why Deshaun Jackson said that, or Deshaun Watson, I did that too, and we had to redo the whole stinking This Week in Sports because I did that. But anyways, the one you're going to hear, listeners, is the right one, but we got all the way through and I screwed up because I'm me. Anyways, Deshaun Watson was asked by leadership in Houston, we are invested in you. We realize this season, I don't know exactly what they said, but the season's kind of a wash. We got rid of Bill O'Brien. I believe they fired their GM too. Well, the GM was Bill O'Brien. So they got rid of Bill O'Brien and fixed a lot of their problems or created the opportunity to fix their problems. And we're going to hire a new GM. And we want you to be part of the process in hiring this GM, which as a NFL team, that's not something NFL teams I don't think are known for doing, not that I know of. And they don't, and they certainly don't have to do that anyways, right? So they
Right.
decided to involve him. They then got a hiring firm involved. They took Deshaun Watson's input, which included a recommendation from Patrick Mahomes for a guy. They came forward with a guy that they wanted to select. And I don't know who. I think ownership was the one that decided, no, actually, we're going with Nick Caserio. Thank you for all your input. Thank you for all the effort you put in. Screw you. We're going with the guy we wanted all along. If I was Deshaun Watson, I would say, thank you so much. I'm out. Like, I don't blame him at all. Like,
peace out.
Just personally, don't ask me to put all that effort into something and then basically moon me and say I'm doing my own thing. Like,
That's
nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
No, that like you said last week when you initially came out that you wanted hiring or input for hiring and didn't. It's like, dude, it's like you're a player. But then when you sent that report saying no, they actually offered this to him and wanted to include him, and then he does all that work, and then you don't listen to a thing he says. That is messed up. That's just
that's bad.
like at that point it's like, no, I'm behind Watson 100%.
100%.
Like,
Yep.
So it's like, screw you, Texans. Like, get rid of him.
Talk about ownership mismanagement in Houston.
My gosh.
Oh my gosh. Is there a sports team in Houston that isn't mismanaged by ownership at this point? I don't think there is. There was a meme I saw by a guy that lives down there, and SpongeBob, and he's sitting at the I hate describing memes, but here I am. He's sitting at the like the diner all by himself, and he's kind of like looking down. It's like 3 of those in a row, and each SpongeBob has a different Houston or a Houston team hat on. Like they're all like, "What do we do now?" Anyways,
yeah, he's got to go. He's got to leave.
Get him out of there.
And, yeah, we'll move on.
Please don't get him on the Dolphins, though.
Patriots aren't going anywhere.
Yeah, it's okay. I'm honestly okay. Go. Let's make the AFC East really cool, and then Patriots got a lot to live up to. But speaking of cool AFC East, Bills versus Ravens.
That was a game.
Yeah, what do you guys think of that game?
Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen are like, they're a dynamic duo.
See, I want to just talk about this for a second. Like, Diggs led the league in catches and yards this year. Like, I mean, Stephon Diggs has always been a great talent, but he was never close to that in Minnesota. And then he goes to the Bills, and they have
Kirk
a bromance.
Cousins thrown to him.
That's true, but I mean, you have Josh Allen and him have a. Did you see the way Josh Allen was looking at him?
Oh,
in the post game interview.
Those post game interviews, dude. They were like,
he was like dreamy.
Stephon Diggs comes up, he's like, "This my little big brother." I'm like, "Oh, you guys are cute."
But watching them play, like, holy crap! Like
they got that connection.
They
And you know
do.
what? It's been reported
It's
that
nuts.
Allen's got a connection with Beasley too. Like he's got like an intangible with his receivers that they know what he's
Yeah.
going to do,
Have you
and
ever?
you need that.
I mean,
And
Josh
you
Allen's
see it
just a
on the
likable
field.
guy.
He is.
He's a likable guy, and he's obviously easy to work with on the field because of the way that he's established relationships in passing to those guys.
Yeah. No, it's I don't know. Like just even watching the games that I've seen this year and in the playoffs so far, just when Diggs knows where to be and Allen knows where he's going to be for the short routes, for
Mm-hmm.
the deep routes, when they have option routes, they're on the same page.
Oh yeah,
In my opinion, they got to be the best combo right now in the league. Like they know each other's minds.
yeah.
It's pretty
I do think
impressive to watch.
they need to be careful with that because even in this last game, I felt like Josh
They're
Allen was just
reliant.
chucking the ball down there,
Yeah.
and I'm okay with that if it connects and it's magic, but you can't try and make that magic every play. You know, we were talking about where was the run game? Like, I didn't
Oh my
realize the Bills
gosh.
really don't have necessarily a great
Yeah,
run
they have
game,
Singletary. I mean, he's
but they do have running backs, and they can't be one dimensional the whole time. Like they got to be able to at least have a run so you can set up the
Yeah.
pass.
No,
yeah,
that's the thing is you need like they had two runs in the first half. And one of those was a quarterback scramble because the pass play broke down.
Yeah.
Like you can get by. I guess they got by because the Ravens offense was horrible.
yeah. It
Like,
was.
so they got
Justin
a
Tucker
pass.
missed 2 field goals,
I
and one of
know.
them went doing right off
I
the
know.
goalpost, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And so I mean they got away with it because of that. But you're going up against like if you're going up against the Chiefs, especially if Mahomes is playing, you need to at least have somewhat of a run game,
Well, yeah,
like
because
you
that
said,
D
because
line
that
has
sets the
no
pass.
idea how to cover the middle. That straight up the middle run. They're historically so bad at covering that. So bad.
So my question is, why do you think the coach called that game plan?
I don't
Especially in the first half, like one. They only
I don't
called
know.
initially one run. I've
Don't
never
forget
seen that.
too that Harbaugh there is actually a really good head coach, and he's a really good defensive mind. So, you know, it could just be that is it McDermott? I believe it's McDermott,
Yeah,
right?
Sean McDermott. Yep.
Sean McDermott. I want to say Josh McDermott, but I knew it was wrong. Sean McDermott, you know, might have overthought. And that's a real thing when you go up against a legit head coach and you're an up and coming coach. Like they talked about that with just like half the mind game when the Patriots were the Patriots was you're going to Gillette. And you have
Yeah.
to face Brady and Belichick. Like you're
Yeah.
already in your own head. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So
Right.
I'm not saying that wasn't necessarily the thing, but I didn't like that game plan. On the flip side, I did not like the Ravens game plan either.
No, it was
No.
I don't know what they were
awful.
doing. And just this little thing. That pick that Lamar Jackson threw into the end zone
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
was horrible. And here's just my thought on that. I was telling my sister this. And this isn't just because of the famous, you know, breakdown in the Super Bowl with Russell Wilson and Marshawn Lynch, but in general, you run into the middle of the end zone and
And you
you
throw to the
throw
outside
to the outside.
to the
You
pylon.
are
Yep.
in trouble if you are throwing into the middle. Because if you're throwing into the middle, there's not a whole lot of space for
Nope.
safeties to be back there. Your linebackers are right. That's not a
Yeah.
whole lot of room. They're all right there. You are risking someone just and Lamar stared them down the whole time. Like it was nothing for that linebacker to go, he's throwing this way. Jump up, grab the ball, and run. Like
Yeah.
horrible decision making.
Yeah, they
It was
shut down
bad.
his running game too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
their running game
they
wasn't
kept
much.
calling quarterback options and runs. And it's like, dude, it's not working. They're setting the edge every single time, but they kept calling that. They kept calling, and it's like, dude, you're not doing. It's
Yeah.
not working. Stop. So yeah, I don't know. It was a good win by the Bills. I think they played a good defense. So their offense is a little stagnant, but
They got to have a better game
um,
plan going into.
They
yeah,
definitely need one.
no,
What's the name
the
of the
Chiefs are
stadium?
another animal.
Arrowhead.
Thank you. I live
On the
Yeah.
flip
4 hours
side,
away from it. And I can't name it.
Yeah.
on the flip side, as far as run games go, I thought Packers versus Rams.
Oh,
I was ready, and I told you
beauty.
guys last week I was ready to come in here and just rip it and go for it because Aaron Rodgers is going to face this prolific defense, and they're not going to get it done because I just was ready for that narrative to happen.
Yeah.
Right.
I looked at his stat line, 269 yards, I think it was for 2
2
touchdowns.
touchdowns. Yeah.
I didn't think he threw for more than 150 yards. I was wrong because there were sequences there in that game, and I thought it was fantastic. And it
One
was
of the best
fantastic, and
called games
it was.
I've
And
ever seen.
I'm not digging on Aaron Rodgers, but he wasn't relevant to that game. And I don't mean that like he's irrelevant. I'm not here to dig on him this week. I have to give him credit. That team was ready to go. They had a good game plan and they stuck to it. And
Yep.
I was happy about that because there was one sequence where it was just run, run. It was the one where Devontae Adams eventually scored the touchdown
At
and it
the
could have
end.
been
Yep.
an illegal shift, but
Yep.
I saw you commenting on that on Facebook, Aaron. But it was it was run, 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 run down the field, 5 minutes, throw the ball, touchdown. And I couldn't help but think if you're the Rams and you're the number one defense, they're going to run here.
Yeah.
They're probably going to start with trying to run here. Hey, they're going to run here. Hey, look they're in the I formation. They're in the pistol. They're going to run here. How did you not like? And I get it. Like you can't commit to the run because it's Aaron Rodgers and he's just going to throw the ball over your head. How do you not, as a front seven, say, oh, they're probably going to run here. Let me make sure that I know how to tackle somebody. Like
Yeah.
what in the world?
Yeah,
And I thought that in the second half they went away from the run a little bit. The Packers did and started chucking the ball around. And I thought it didn't work well. Lazard dropped that ball anyways, and I think after that they kind of went back to the run game, and they continued to just keep marching down the field and scoring. It was like,
yeah.
what a brilliant game plan! And if they can stick to that and use Aaron Rodgers when they need to, and not go one-dimensional,
it's
Aaron Rodgers
dangerous.
rolling out, they might be able to win it all. Truthfully,
because they ran for like 170 yards or something on the Rams.
yeah.
It was now granted, the Bucks do have one of the better run defenses in the league, so that might work to there. But they also have one of the worst secondaries, so I don't know. I don't know
Right.
what that's going to look
But
like.
if you tell me this week they have a totally different game plan and they put on Aaron Rodgers and they still win, okay, I'm okay with that. That's telling me you have a Green Bay head coach that has a clue and he's using his quarterback appropriately, and most importantly, his quarterback's bought in. Okay, we're gonna follow your game plan. I'm not just gonna do the Aaron Rodgers thing. I don't have to.
Because I really do. That was one of the best called games I've seen and game plans that I've seen in effect. Like the Rams could do nothing. It was really cool to see. And then we had the Browns and the Chiefs. I just really want to quickly talk about that because it was like a big hubbub about this, like all over the place. But one of the plays, I forget who it was on the Browns. I think it was their tight end. Caught the ball, run into the end zone, went to dive, extended to put the ball out there, and Chiefs defender came at I think it was Sorensen at the last second, hit the ball, caused a fumble literally right before he broke the plane, and it went out of the back of the end zone, which in that case, according to the rules, is a touchback,
a forward fumble
and
in
it
the end
goes
zone.
back to the other team. It's a change of possession, and a lot of people went up in arms. They're like, "That's such a stupid rule. It's very very harsh. That needs to be changed. Like, there's
Bet you a
no
lot of
way they
Chief
should do
fans
that."
didn't think that.
Yeah. Yeah, because
Exactly.
that would
Yeah.
that would have won them the game.
But I've heard like other commentators and analysts say that, like it's the worst rule in football or something like that. So like I don't know. What do you guys think of that? Do you think that's just being overblown or?
Yes. Yep.
There you go.
Yep, I do. Do you
Listen,
remember the
This
divisional
happened
round?
to the. Go ahead, Eric.
The divisional round with the Patriots and the ineligible man downfield, and that shouldn't be legal. No. They found a loophole in the rule book and they exploited it. And I think they tweaked it after that. This is a rule in football. You can't fumble the football in general, and if you do, that's on you. Sorry, you fumble football. I realize it's a good play by the defense. You hold on to the ball, and if you can't, and you're in the end zone and you fumble it out, it's the same rule for every other team. So you
Right.
lost the ball. I'm sorry, bad move. Like it happens.
I can tell you of exactly. I don't know how many times it happened during the regular season, but I know exactly one time it did happen when N'Keal Harry of the Patriots fumbled it on the goal line before he broke the plane, fell on his back, fumbled it into the end zone. It went out of bounds, and it was a touchback. Nobody's up in arms about it then, but it seems to be a reoccurring thing in the NFL playoffs where these controversial rules come in. I mean, come on. Everybody knows about the tuck rule. And that's long gone. That was long ago, and the rule is also long gone. We had, and this is kind of not really an equivalent, but still, it was a controversial play. And the Saints, I forget who they were playing.
The Rams.
The Saints
That pass
Rams,
interference.
and that pass interference, that blown call. These big
That
giant.
was a bad one.
That was awful.
a
That
really
was
bad
one of the worst things I've ever watched.
That was
The
a
problem is
legitimate,
that
like,
they went too far the other way the following. I agree. That was one of the worst no calls. Probably might be the worst no call
Oh,
in
yeah.
sport.
in
In not only
history.
NFL history, but maybe sports
It
history.
was
Like, truthfully,
horrendous.
horrendous. Like, and having all the camera angles we have now, you can see how horrendous it was in slow motion, 4K. Like, but
I could see his pores. Like, this is obviously
Yeah.
wrong.
I hated
Exactly.
that the following year you could challenge a PI, and it was almost like the NFL
that was
saying, "Oh,
dumb.
you were going to give it back," and then it ended up being dumb. So I don't want it to go so far the other way that it's like, well, if they fumble it and it's still a touch. Like, and I know that the league is enamored by points, so they probably will do something. I just don't. Every sport has its weird quirks. Baseball has balking, which is a really weird little, and a couple other weird rules to it too.
Don't pronounce the L.
Anyways,
Balking?
Mhm.
balking.
It's Bach.
It's in a. Is it? It
You
is
pronounce
Bach.
it like
You're right.
BOCK. Bach.
Yeah, you're right.
Sorry.
But every league has its different weird rules,
Yeah.
and that's just what makes it intricate. Now, sometimes those rules need to get reviewed if they become like egregious and happen all the time? But if it's a one-off thing that happens maybe once a year or twice a year,
Right.
is this worth throwing the whole rule book out and starting again?
I mean, it costed the Bills their season, but I really don't think it's a dumb rule.
Browns.
I
Cost
think.
the Browns.
I'm sorry. Yeah, the Browns. Thank you. I really don't
That'd
think
be a
it's
dumb rule.
I don't think it's
another team.
Here we go. Divisional.
yeah.
So if you fumble it out of the end
Rutgers,
zone, the other
even though
team
the
in another game loses. Like,
No, so it costed the Browns their season, but it's a rule it's really not that stupid. It's not a stupid rule. You fumble a ball, like isn't it a change of possession if you fumble a ball, not a forward fumble? And like, so I know there's in football there's a difference
I don't
between
are you
a
talking
forward
about within
fumble.
2 minutes?
No, there's a difference between a forward fumble and a backwards fumble going out of bounds. Hold on. Well, don't hold on.
I know the rule. I know what you're trying to say.
I don't know what
with-
the result of it is.
I know a
Hold on.
backward lateral is a live ball, right? So if it
So-
drops on the ground, it's still live. If it's behind
If
the
there's
yard
more
of
than 2
line of
minutes,
scrimmage.
if there's more than 2 minutes and a half, or the end of the game, if a ball fumbles forward and the offensive team picks it back up, the ball's like that counts as yardage that the ball's advanced. If it's within 2 minutes though, and it fumbles forward and the offense lands on it, you don't get those extra yards. You can't fumble the ball forward and get that progress.
Oh,
Yeah, okay,
Good job,
that's what
Aaron.
I was thinking about.
that makes sense.
Yeah. They put that rule in because there was an old school game where a guy like fumbled the ball forward so his teammate could pick it up. Yeah. So
Okay, yeah.
they
So
put
I'm
that rule
thinking.
in.
So yeah, that's the thing is that you get if you fumble a ball out of if you forward fumble a ball out of bounds, it goes to that spot where it went out of bounds. If it's a backwards fumble, it goes to the where the play would have died, basically. I think if that's how I'm reading it. Anyways, I don't think it's a dumb rule. I think it should stay. It makes sense.
Yeah, it's one of those, like, I don't know. It sucks when it happens, but it barely happens. I'm just happy because it helped me win a Madden football game against one of my friends. Because he got a breakaway with Michael Vick in Madden 04 and went to dive for the game-winning touchdown, and I took my safety and tackled him, and he fumbled it out of the end zone, and I got the ball back and kneeled down and won. So I'm good with the rule. But that was the small story, because the big story was obviously the Mahomes injury that we saw go down on that hit, where I think it was a scary moment. He tried to stand up and was wobbling.
Yeah, that was.
He looked out of it, and it was like, oh crap.
So was it
like,
a neck injury or is it a concussion? Like
think
there's the
it
injury
was-
quote that says it's a neck injury, but he's in concussion protocol.
Yeah, I think because it was a head injury, he has to be in the
You
protocol.
have to go
no
under
matter what.
protocol. Yeah.
Yeah. But they determined that it was in fact a neck injury. He pinched
Something with a nerve.
Yeah,
and he got up wobbly, not because he hit his head, but because he most likely was like basically choked out.
Yeah, it was like that
when he
nerve
hit
got,
the
like,
ground. Yeah.
compressed or something. which is weird. Like that's kind of weird. You have a nerve that can just do that to you.
Yeah, that is weird.
Like just shuts you down.
Well, don't they? Isn't
Um,
there a nerve in the back of the neck that if you get hit in it, you pass out? Or is that just in the movies?
Oh, I've heard that. Like
I
it's
think
like
it's
some
real.
kung fu move or
Yeah,
something.
I
Like
thought it was an actual thing, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm Hollywoodizing it. But from whatever. Oh, you go ahead and read that Andy Reid quote.
It just said he got hit in the back of the head and kind of knocked the wind out of him and everything else. With it, he's doing great right now with it, which is a real positive as we look at this. Passed all the deals that we need to pass, so we'll see where it goes from here. And then someone put in here something from that was
yeah, that was the
probably
one about the. It was saying that it was like a nerve that
Can I
gave him the injury.
can I
What's
just
up,
comment
Tyler?
on something really quick?
Yeah.
So
Go
that line that Andy Reid says, "Passed all the deals." That
What?
is, he says, passed all the deals that he needed to pass. Andy Reid
Yeah.
said, that is the most Midwestern sentence I have ever heard. Because where I live right now, every object, if it is a noun that you can interact with, it's a deal. They call it a deal. Oh, did you fix that deal? Did you move? Did you get to move in that deal in the field? Everything's a deal, and so I don't know where Andy Reid's from, but that is super Midwest, and I thought
It is
that
crazy how different regions have different dialects.
yeah, and I thought that's. Let me look up where he's from, but keep talking.
So not related to that though, I do think the Browns kind of as had a chance close and
They
late,
did. They had that last drive after Henny
and
failed, and
I didn't think they were going to win. So the fact that they got close and late, and is crazy for the Browns, and I think that's a real step forward for them to be close and late in the divisional round, and basically be a touchdown short. Uh, and it be because of a crazy little mistake. That being said, you had Mahomes go out, and you had this other guy go in. He wasn't that great, and you missed out on an
they literally had
opportunity.
that drive. If they scored a touchdown, they won the game.
Yeah,
And
And
they
they
went
couldn't.
three
They
and out.
couldn't
They went
close.
three. They lost the yard. They didn't even gain a yard on that
Yeah.
possession. It's like, dude, you pooped your pants.
They pooped. They definitely pooped.
And then on to the closer himself, Tom Brady.
Thomas
Mm.
Edward Brady.
Edward Patrick Brady
Edward Patrick, sorry.
Jr.
Back to a conference title game. I love the meme I saw where it was like, the Cowboys have been in. It's been 25
Yeah.
years since the Cowboys have been into an NFC conference title, and Brady's been in the NFC 1 year, and he's already in one, like something to that effect,
Yeah.
which I loved.
Oh, it's so
as
good.
an open and adamant Cowboys hater. I love that meme.
I'm I hurt for Jacob when I saw that. I was like, oh.
So I just there's really not much to say about that game. Breeze wasn't that great, but it probably could have been. It's reported that it might be or very likely be his last game. I thought the thing at the end where Brady went out and talked to him on the field afterwards
So classy.
was very classy.
Threw a sweet touchdown pass to his kid.
And sweet.
Oh, it was awesome.
It was sweet too.
Yeah. I didn't pick. I got my AFC side right and my NFC side completely wrong because I picked the defenses. So at this point, it's Brady o'clock, as I've said, and he's back in it, and I think that's really cool. And if there's anybody that can go to Lambeau Field and beat Aaron Rodgers, it's Brady, and I think we've all been craving like a playoff Brady Rodgers thing, so that's really cool. And that being said, a Breeze Rodgers thing would be really cool too in the playoffs. But
Not
a
as
Brady Rodgers is like the epitome of like one of the big things that could happen in the league.
Yep.
I will say this, and maybe this is just my Patriots honk coming out, and so I apologize, but I think that Brady proved, and I put this on Facebook, that he is not a system quarterback. People for he's a system quarterback, blah blah blah. It's just because of Belichick.
Right.
Now that he's in the conference finals and Belichick's not, it's well that proves it. Belichick can't win without Brady. Whoa. Like, yeah, it's a bad look for Belichick right now.
Big
it really
time bad.
is. Like
It's
the
bad,
whole
bad.
Brady Belichick, it looks really bad on Belichick right now. But I don't know. I don't think that book is closed yet. And even if it is, the Brady Belichick thing, and it was really Brady the whole time, that I don't know if I can agree to that, because Brady didn't bring in Corey Dillon in 2004, and they won championship arguably because of that. He didn't bring in Darrell Revis in 14. He didn't decide that there was a loophole and you could put eligible men downfield and get the team back from down 14 twice versus the Ravens in 2004. I mean, I could go on and on and on with all these like coaching and GM decisions that Belichick made that ultimately made the team better over the years. So on the field, I don't think you're winning, 6 Super Bowls without Brady, but I also don't think off the field and even on the field, you're, on the sideline, you're winning them without Belichick. I don't think you get to 9 Super Bowls without the two of them.
Right.
Period.
No. Yeah.
But in
I
their own
agree.
merits,
It's never it's never you can't just say 100% one and 0% the other. There's always going to be a bleeding of percentages that, maybe it's 60% Brady, 40% Belichick. Like, you
Sure.
need that. I
Or,
do
yeah.
think
you know,
I lean more
90-10.
towards I lean more towards the player. I think the player is always going to have the bigger percentage and is the bigger reason. Not saying Bill wasn't needed, but I think Brady has the majority.
ultimately
As
the
far as
execution
that's
goes
concerned.
to the player, and
Right.
Brady's the most efficient executor there ever was. So I could
Exactly.
agree to that. But
That's
some of
why
those things
that's
that
what
he
it is for
executes
me.
are because of good coaching. I
Yeah.
can't tell you how many times, and I loved watching it when they would go out there with the offense on 4th down and they would line up and set, and then they clap their hands, and then they'd run off, and the punting team would get on, and they'd try and get the defense on ready.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's a coaching thing, but no one executed it like Brady did.
Right.
Right. And that's where it's like, I think you need the coaching, you need that mind, but until you have the players who can execute that, that's why I will always give the edge to the player, even if the coach is making a great decision or has coached them up really well, because you need the guys on the field to actually do it. Bill's
Yeah.
not getting on there and running and scoring touchdowns.
Right.
No, I
So
agree.
He's not running.
I think
So
I want
go
to put this out there really quick for the listeners, just to kind of mull over it and stew in your brain, because I think this would be a good conversation for, after the Super Bowl, after things are at the height. Is Bill Belichick on the chopping block? We're not going to answer it now, but is he in the hot seat
I like it.
because of this? So just think about
Use
it.
it.
Give us a
Use it.
response if you want to, because that would be great for us to work off of. What do you guys think? Do you think that Bill Belichick is on the hot seat? Do you think he's on the chopping block? Does he have to prove himself? So just think that over. Let us know what you think at Under.500. And
Like it.
So go ahead, Eric. What were you going to say? My bad.
Who y'all picking?
Ooh, picks.
I'll go first.
Going first?
I'll go first. I'll go first.
All right.
So I will say that I think my record for picks in the postseason is one short of what Aaron is, and he's what are you, 6-1, 8-1, whatever it is?
No, I'm 8-2.
8-2. So I'd be 7 and
games.
I'd be 7-3.
7-3. Yeah.
I'm the worst so far.
Yeah, but it's okay. I would be the same record if I didn't just despise the Chiefs and their fans. Except for my family. I will always say it. So my pick for the Chiefs versus Bills game is, I'm back on it, baby. Boing! Josh Allen, the Bills. Let's go. I'm picking the Bills. I want to see the Bills go to a Super Bowl. And also I think that they have an edge with Patrick Mahomes might not play. There's a chance he might not play next week. And so if he doesn't, I think it's an easy win for the Bills. And even if he does play, I still think that the Chiefs are going to give him a run for their money. But I think the Bills are going to come out on top there. In the NFC, this is the greatest game ever. This is amazing. This is the hardest pick that I've ever had to pick, but it's also the easiest pick. Because if it was any other quarterback, if Tom Brady didn't spend 20 years in New England and I didn't have an absolute crush on him since I was a young wee lad, this would be a harder pick, but this is an easy pick. I'm going with the Bucs. I want to see Tom Brady get his 7th ring. I want to see Tom Brady versus the Buffalo Bills. Sorry, I'm not just going to say Tom Brady. I want to see the Bucs. Because
no, it's okay if you say Tom Brady.
But I do. I really want to see Tom Brady beat the Buffalo Bills in the Super Bowl, because that's unheard of and that's amazing. And this is what exactly. And this is what 2020 football has brought us to. And it's been a crazy, terrible kind of year. And to be able to look forward to games this much, even though the team I root for and love the most was an absolute dumpster fire this year, even though I said they weren't, but they kind of were. This is the best possible outcome for myself.
Yeah.
I absolutely love this. And even if Aaron Rodgers beats him, I'm still super excited to see Aaron Rodgers in a Super Bowl because that's also awesome. And this also, speaks volumes to Eric's hate on Aaron Rodgers, and I love that. So
Go ahead, Aaron.
those are my picks.
So for the AFC, it's if Mahomes plays, I'm picking the Chiefs. I think he's the best player on the field at that point. However, if he does not play, I don't think the Chiefs stand a chance.
True. Henny ain't that
So
good.
it'll be dependent on who steps on that field Sunday. You can pick for either one. But so if Mahomes plays, Chiefs win. He doesn't play, they lose. That's just I think it's as simple as that. Because I think Mahomes is that big of a difference maker. For the NFC, you have Aaron Rodgers coming off an MVP year. They had the number one scoring offense in the league. Their defense this past month and a half has, I mean, they've really improved their play. They've become kind of a force, which is tough for any team. They're playing. The whole team's used to playing in Lambeau in the cold, as opposed to Tampa. It's just Brady has that experience in Gronk, but the rest of the team doesn't. The whole Green Bay Packer team is used to that cold weather. They have home field advantage. So I'm picking the Buccaneers to win, though, because Tom Brady. So.
Yeah, baby. That's what I'm talking about. You had me in the first half. I'm not going to
lie. Because honestly, like all that stuff's going against him, but he just has that magic in his career, and the dude just wins. And so it's like until he fails, I can't pick against him. I just can't. So I don't know. I think he'll pull it out.
Aaron and I had the same takes, exact same takes. I even put it in the notes. I even highlighted, like color-coded highlighted. If Mahomes plays, Chiefs win. If Mahomes doesn't play, Bills win. I even give the Chiefs a chance without Mahomes playing, just because they're at home, and I think it's a great coaching matchup. But I still would tip the cap to Andy Reid, who can make any quarterback that is okay look really good. So I don't know. I think I still kind of lean. If you told me I had to pick one, I would still pick Chiefs overall. But I do agree. I would love to see the Bills go back to the Super Bowl. Man, the NFC's got so many narratives, though. At least for me personally, I've been kind of critical of I've been very critical of Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers, and here they are with a chance to get back to perhaps some unfinished business in the Super Bowl. In that, I think they kind of have left a few on the table with Aaron Rodgers. So I would get why people would want to root to see that. But I'm picking Bucks. I just don't know. I just don't know if there's something in me. And again, where I might just all just be New England honks, and that's okay. But man, Brady's the best there ever was. And if there's just anybody that can just go to a place where you shouldn't win and win, it's it's Eli Manning in 2007, or it's who went to Green Bay and won, or it's just Tom Brady. So, and again, I'm keeping it open that if this is an NFC title game in which Aaron Rodgers loses because he didn't play that well, he's now 1-3 in title games, and in all of them he doesn't play well. Oh boy, oh boy, I'm ready for it. I'm ready, but I do think that the Packers have a legitimate shot at winning too. Like they have a well balanced.
They're
team,
a good team,
and they have good coaching.
Great team.
The coaching matchup goes to Matt LaFleur because Bruce Arians admitted that he lets Tom Brady coach the offense.
Bruce
Arians, you're really good. You do this.
Bruce Arians is a scrub.
I don't understand. By the way, and we can end here. Why does he wear his mic like he's like? I've been watching a lot of Star Wars, so I'm going to use another Star Wars. That's 3 for me today.
Like Chewie.
3. Yeah, like Chewie's belt, or like some sort of bounty hunter with guns and stuff loaded up. Like, what are you doing? That goes around your waist, you fatty.
Because he's a weirdo, and he's not a good coach. Okay.
All right.
All right. Well, we just called Bruce Arians a weirdo and a fatty. So let's see if he goes out and win next week. On that note, Aaron, can you tell us about your plug?
Yes, I can. so, so you guys can find us on all. We have 6 ways actually. You can find out where we where we are on Instagram, on Facebook. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify. You can find us on Spotify. You can send us an email. And we also are on YouTube, where you can find us. Please subscribe to our pages. We'd love to have you guys be there. Leave us comments on our DMs for Instagram or on our email page. Your comments and your love settle into the ridges of our heart, and they really recharge our batteries and help
Mm,
keep us going.
yeah.
So we would just really appreciate you guys to do that and give us a follow. Tell your friends about us. And yeah, no, we'll see you guys next week. Thank you for joining us.
See you, everybody.
Have a great week.